Everybody, thank you for joining me for another Frame It Friday with Paper Kate and I. This is the final installment of our series. So I apologize that it wasn't posted on Friday. I just went back to work 2 weeks ago. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a special ed teacher, and then my kids started back up this past week. So it has been a little crazy, needless to say. And I was lucky enough to maybe get 5 minutes a day to actually try to scrapbook. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. I honestly did not know what I was going to do for this final installment. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to come up with something. What am I going to do? So I first went onto my computer, found a couple pictures that I would scrapbook. And then I was like, okay, now what? And so I went online and or onto YouTube, and I was watching Audrey Yeager, and I believe she's the one that creates this Stash Bash Hop, and quite a few of my friends are in it as well. And this time they used stamps, and I thought, oh my gosh, that challenge is so cool. But I don't have a whole lot of stamps. I only buy stamps when I know that I'm going to get a lot of use out of them. So I went through my stamps, and I have like maybe 15 stamp collections or stamp sets. And I found one that actually had a frame in it, and I thought, that's perfect. I can use this for my Frame It Friday. So the picture is of my kids, and they are in a car, and it's a car that was attached to a shopping cart at the store that we used to go grocery shopping at. And sorry, my voice is so sounds like a frog because I'm literally doing this so early in the morning before anybody wakes up. But so they're in this car, and like I said, it's one that was attached to a grocery cart, and it made things really easy when I'd go grocery shopping. So I knew I wanted to use this Boy Crazy by My Mind's Eye. And when I ever cut up just random papers, different sizes, I find it really easy to create a layout that way because the layers just kind of like pile on the layers. And so I really liked the look that this was going. And I liked how the layers were, all the different patterns of paper. And then I was like, well, what am I going to do with that stamp frame? Because that's the only idea I've come up with so far. So I thought, well, what if I place the stamp kind of like stamp the image and then have them sticking out behind the photo. And that's where you saw me just a few minutes ago, where I actually took the stamp and kind of just tucked it in behind the photo, and I didn't like the look of it. But I'm still running with this because I'm thinking I'm really loving how this looks so far. One second, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Okay, so I'm distressing all the sides of the paper, and then I thought, well, what if I have the stamp going on that blue pattern paper and just draw almost like a grid? And then I was thinking about that, and I thought, no, that's not going to look good. So I went back to YouTube and going, I need some more inspiration. And that's where I see this sketch. Now this sketch, I don't know who designed it, but my friend Christina Sore and Sarah Scraps has this spinning freeze going on for a month, and they create a whole bunch of challenges. And so this challenge was to use the sketch. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfect. On the bottom of that sketch was a grid design, and I can use my frames. So here I am kind of showing you what I did off camera. Actually, I kind of cut that part out because I'm kind of showing you the thumbs down. So I stamped the image first on the pattern paper. I didn't like it, so then I stamped it on white paper. So then I got out the very first stamped image that was on that car paper and took that center piece, and I'm going to adhere it onto that frame right there. And I'm loving that. And that is going to be my idea, and that's what I'm going to roll with. So there they all are. Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, I literally just woke up, so I needed another cup of coffee. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, one thing I definitely cut out in my videos is whenever I'm adhering or having to fussy cut, but I will kind of show you what I'm doing, and then I'll cut that part out. So then going back to that sketch did show a scallop border punch running along the left side. So I have a few punches, and I thought, you know what, instead of the scallop punch, let me use the notebook one. And I wanted to add more color to the top, so that's why I chose the, it's not a zigzag, it's, well, I guess it could be like a zigzag, chevron multiple color pattern paper, because that had all the colors that were in the collection, and I wanted to have that going up to the top. So I did that one, and then I noticed when I was done punching that paper that it kind of got lost when I put it up against the background paper. So I inked and distressed the edges just like I did with everything else. And then I decided to also have one at the lower right hand side as well, just to kind of carry it throughout the layout. Next, they did use either fiber or twine, whatever you have, and they basically tied it around that paper. And so that's what I did here, using some baker's twine, and then I'm going to create a little bow, and then I'm going to use my Tim Holtz attacher, and I'm going to staple that down. Now, I forgot to mention that I did use a brand new sheet of that blue on blue chevron paper, because the way I cut it from the last one, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I had 3 sheets of paper, so I didn't really care. I don't know why I have 3 sheets of that paper, but I do. And so it didn't bother me to cut up another fresh piece. But I did want to use that yellow one, because I did not want that one to go to waste, because, you know, like I had already cut, like I said, several layers for my first idea. So here I am kind of just messing around with this, and I think I'm going to start adhering everything down. Yeah. Whenever I get to a point where I start to fidget with my papers and I'm tired of them just moving across the layout, I know at that point then I just need to adhere it. And once I do that, I'm not going to be fidgeting, or else I'll just fidget all day with those pattern papers. I don't know if do you guys do that? Or am I like the only one that will sit there and just play with paper, pushing it around my layout? Excuse me. Okay. Oh my goodness. That's what happens when I try to do a voiceover early in the morning. Next, I am going to adhere that yellow paper down. Now, while I was adhering that down, my thoughts were, it was really a big area of that yellow. And the pictures don't take much of the real estate inside. So I knew I wanted to have another pattern paper or another cardstock. So my first thought was, let me look through my blues. I looked through my blues, none of them matched, so then I thought reds. I am going to be honest with you guys, the one color combination I have never liked, ever, and you will never see it, is red on yellow. And as soon as I brought it, I'm like, oh my gosh, Desiree, what were you thinking? Red and yellow? Reminds me of McDonald's. So I skipped that, went back to the pattern paper, and that's where I decided to go with this one, because it was more of a neutral. I wanted to bring more of some neutral tones up to the top as well, because I didn't want to use a multicolor pattern paper right next to that multi-pattern border that I just made. So now I was thinking, what if I offset it, or should I have it straight, like completely in the center of the actual yellow paper? I decided to go with my original, and that is just keep it in the center. So I do that, and then I don't know if I mentioned, I didn't have a whole lot of this collection. The only thing that was that they had, there was no ephemera pack, so I had to use either the sticker sheet. There was one 12 by 12 paper that had like cards on it, and so I cut out the card that says Joyride, and then all I had was the enamel dots and this other mixed buttons, which some were chipboard, and then the other ones were actual plastic buttons. So I didn't have a whole lot to work with, so I definitely wanted to use up quite a bit from my sticker sheet to add some embellishments. So that's where I picked the Wonder Corners. And then next I'm going to take my foam adhesive and add some dimension underneath that car. Next, I'm going to go back to the sticker sheet, and I noticed that there was banners, so that's why you kind of see my finger kind of trailing around going, what if I put a banner up here? And then I remembered that the chipboard had a banner. I was like, well, what if I do a little tiny one where it's not going all the way across? I do try that out. I cut that part out because I didn't end up doing it. I just didn't like the look of it for whatever reason, and so I scratched that, and then I thought, let me just kind of put it off to the side and think about what else I'm going to do. So obviously I cut some parts out, and I think I'm going back to the sticker sheet, and that's where I find these star stickers. And then I remembered I was also contemplating if I was going to use the speech bubble, because the speech bubble that says beep beep, but then the one 12 by 12 paper that had that car on it, they also had a speech bubble that said ready, set, go. So I wasn't sure which one that I wanted to use, and I decided to use beep beep because I already have another story that I want to use with that other speech bubbles that say ready, set, go. So now I think I'm going back to the wood buttons or chipboard buttons, and I'm going to create a triangle design, and that is by using those star stickers. You're going to start seeing me here putting them down, and I'm going to do 2 sets of 3. So I'm going to have one at by the speech bubble, and then the second set is going to go by the car. And then I'm going to use or grab those chipboard buttons, and I'm going to thread them with some embroidery thread, and then I'm going to put them in 3 different areas as well. And so I had one, I'm going to have one next to the speech bubble, one next to the car, and then I'm going to create or put the third one where the grid is. Now I didn't add any stars. I could have, where I could have had them next to the grid, but I felt like they were going to get lost because the grid design is so colorful as it is, and they're just plain flat stickers. So I knew that they would get lost, and that is why I decided not to have any of the stars down at the lower layout portion of the layout. Next, I try to grab another sticker, and at that point I was like, okay, you can tell I'm trying to force myself to use up these stickers. So I scratched that and just said, I'll save it for another day. So here I am adhering those chipboard pieces, and that is it, guys. I really do hope that you enjoyed Paper Kate and I's mini-series, and I hope that Kate and I delivered what we wanted to, and that was to show you different ways of using up frames, whether they're stamps or frames from an actual package that you purchased, and use them up and get them out of your stash, because that was definitely our goal. We had a lot of fun making this mini-series. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much again for all of you joining our channels. I'll go ahead and link her channel below, so that way you can watch her. She, I know, is going to make something wonderful. She always does. And if you love layering, she is the queen of layering. I could watch her all day long. All right, everyone. Thank you again. You all have an amazing weekend. Bye.